Hi, I'm Chris Tower. I'm your instructor. I've just gotten over being ill, so my voice is a little bit rough, so forgive me for that, but I hope my volume's good. This is my first video. Welcome to my first video. So this is a video that is going to serve as an introduction to both my business communications class, which I teach for Park University, and for my technical writing class, which I teach for Lake Michigan College. The principles that I'm about to discuss very briefly are basically the same for both courses. So, hello. Hope you can see the board. This is also sort of a test video. It's the first instructional video I've ever made. So, hey, that's kind of fun. All right. So, what I'd like to talk about are the principles of business communications or technical writing, because as I said, they kind of work the same for both. So we'll just say principles for quality, I guess we could say, or for professional, but it's we want quality communications, and there are 5 main principles that you got to keep in mind at all times when you're writing a document, either specifically for a business, such as a business that would deal with customers or that would deal with inter-office communications, or technical writing, which is also used in business, but it's more specific to the kinds of documents that require a different level of technical expertise to write those documents. So the principles are pretty much the same. We have 3 words that start with C. So that should be easy to remember. These are very important words, and they are as follows. So they're clear, complete, and correct. All business documents and all technical documents should follow these 3 main principles, but of course I said there are going to be 5. So let's put a reminder over there that they're going to be 5. Obviously, all documents should be clear. They should be written in a kind of language that's easy to understand. So in business documents, that means not a lot of businessese, not a lot of legalese, not a lot of overly formal, stilted kinds of phrases that aren't very easy to understand. This is a very simple, plain English. Doesn't mean you can't use more advanced vocabulary, such as you would learn at college, but it shouldn't be obtuse, difficult to understand. In technical writing, it means very importantly that the document's very clear and easy to understand and relatively free of jargon, because a lot of technical documents suffer from a lot of extra jargon. So relatively free of jargon, but easy to understand, because often the consequences of not understanding a document in technical writing are potentially lethal consequences. So they're going to be very clearly written. Now, some people would say that clear and correct are the same thing, but not necessarily, because something can be written in a very clear manner, but have some errors in it. And of course, in business, you don't want to have errors, because this makes the company look bad. This makes you look bad, and you want that quality. That's why I put in that, we want quality communications. So we want them to be as correct as possible. In technical writing, we want them to be correct because potential errors could lead to lethal or potentially hazardous consequences. So that's not good either. So those are really different things, because clear has to do more with the style in terms of the word choice, the organization, things like that, whereas correctness has to do with grammatical correctness, spelling correctness, things like that. And then obviously the document should be complete. Shouldn't have anything missing from the document. And we spent some time talking about this in business communications, because if a document is complete, then you don't need to end the document with, if you have any questions, you can contact me at this number, because there should be no reason to contact you because the document is complete. Everything that you need should be in the document. Now, of course, a lot of people often add that line because it's courteous. and in a business type relationship, and we do some business type writing and technical writing as well, because these very much overlap. That's why I'm doing these dual talks. It's just courteous. We want to extend that to our customers or to the other people in the office. Hey, if you need to talk to me, you know where to find me, right? All right, so, whoops, that's not what I wanted. So the next two are probably the most vital. So we could number these. This is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, this is number 4, and then we're going to do number 5. So number 4 is saves the reader's time. Number 5 is builds goodwill. Now, I'm going to talk about these in different order, and I'm going to use my glasses to spy that I actually wrote them in such a way that you can see them. Tilt my screen there a little bit. Hey, now you can see the whole thing. That's pretty exciting. So builds goodwill happens differently depending on the kind of document that you're writing. In a business type document, especially one that's going outside of the office, you definitely want to build goodwill with the customer. You're writing to the customer, you want a good relationship with the customer. Even if you have to deliver bad news to the customer, you want to maintain that kind of good will. And in our business communication course, we'll spend some time on the builds goodwill issue and negative messages and things like that, though not as much time as I wish we did. And then in technical writing, builds goodwill is also important, because if a document is clear, complete, and correct, it builds goodwill. If a document is not correct or not complete or not clear, that's definitely going to destroy goodwill. And that's probably true in business communications as well. But this one is probably, in many ways, the most vital of the 5, and the one I spend the most time teaching in both of these courses. And this is saves the reader's time. This is so important when designing a business or a technical writing document. Particularly, think of the case of process instructions, which is something we do in technical writing. If the document doesn't save the reader's time, if I have to spend more time figuring out how to read and understand the instructions, let alone following the instructions to do whatever they're instructing me to do, that's definitely not building goodwill. And it's going to make me very frustrated. If it's, say, building an IKEA cabinet, I'm unlikely to buy another IKEA cabinet if I'm having that kind of a problem. Saves the reader's time is also important in business writing, because if you're writing to your boss or your executive, that's the last person whose time you want to waste. You want to make efficient and good use of that person's time, and if you do that, your boss is going to be very happy. Now, certainly other employees that you're saving their time, they're going to be very happy, but this has to do with design. This has to do with design and organization of the document. This has to do with, where you place certain information. What information does the reader need emphasized? Where do you place emphasized information? How do you organize and design the document in such a way that it's easy to read and easy to digest? And there's a process to reading that you got to think about when you're thinking about saving the reader's time. So I'll probably do a whole nother talk on just saving the reader's time. But here's the thing to think about as I close out what I was planning was going to be a short video, which is the first thing that a reader's going to do with a document is give it a scan. It's going to kind of digest the document. So let's say we're back to the instructions, right? And it's a 4-page instructions document, right? The first thing that I'm probably going to do, and people that don't do this are not really digesting instructions very well, is flip through them, to get a sense of the document. Think about your resume. That usually people don't read resumes. They're more likely to sort of skim it, because when they initially get a resume, there's probably a sorting thing going on. So I'm going to skim your resume and decide whether it's going to go in the yes pile, the no pile, or perhaps I have a maybe pile. Or it's kind of in between. So the scan factor becomes very important in that. So we're going to come back to this, particularly when we're talking about designing documents in technical writing. So thank you for watching my first video.